Since we now know where strike is, I'm going to set up my regulating rack. I've already adjusted the other side to that strike anyway, and peel off my double-sided tape. Now it will slide into that spot. There are 3 lengths to the plungers that go into the standalone string height gauge / underlevel. So this is used for leveling strings in the piano, but it also serves as a record keeping device for string heights, strike heights in this case. It has 5 registration holes that are distinct from each other because they're on a slant. And then of course it's got 2 sides to the plunger. And so actually in the piano, if we were leveling strings, I would have this size plunger installed, and then I would switch out when I got to the tenor section, because it's lower, the next size down, and then I would adjust by the set screw so that it was the tip of the plunger would be touching the strings under the spring tension from below. And that makes it very, very sensitive, and it would zing the strings it's touching, and obviously not the ones it isn't touching, and you would lift the one that zings until all 3 zing. But for the purposes of measuring this, we can just lift it up, so we don't need the 2 sizes. And it would be better to have all the information on one plunger. Now for marking, I use an ultra fine Sharpie whose point fits the registration hole, and I just turn it around like that. And then if the light's right and the angle's right, you can see that there's a little black dot in the middle of it. And that dot is easy to center in its hole. And then you can mark the numbers of the samples down here if you want, and down there, and then information about the piano if you're keeping the record, or if there's another one in hand that you're alternating with. And then the whole thing can be wiped off with alcohol when you're done the job. If we happen to bump the regulating rack, for instance, or you turn the wrong knob by mistake, having this information means you don't have to go back to the piano. The next thing to do is record the scale. These hammers were never filed. They were just out of the box, hung as they're hung, and that's it. They do have some wear marks, but they're awful hard to see. So I'm just going to take the center of each of these hammers with a little adaptation for where these are clearly not. So this is a pseudo scale, but this is the way it would work. And in fact, if you have hammers that have no marks, if we were going to reuse these hammers and you couldn't see the marks, probably you ought to file them and space them in the piano, tighten all that down. Then we would set up here with information that would be useful when we're regulating, because when we do our traveling and squaring and spacing, obviously the spacing is the 3rd step, and it's changed in doing the squaring and the traveling. What you don't want to do is put ink on your hammers. So I just bring the hammers up and then lower them as I'm making the mark. And please like, subscribe, or follow the link in the notes to my website.